This gun has been dubbed the trailer Park Staccato. It is a Remington R1 Recon Commander. It is chambered in 9mm and it is a double stack. Hey guys, Hutton with Roof Crane Concepts. I wanted to get a quick video out to you guys about a build that we recently got done. I'm very excited about, and you guys are going to see it more on our social media and in our videos and stuff. So I wanted to go ahead and do a build breakdown of it. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer: I did purchase this firearm and I did purchase all the parts myself, so my review can be as honest as possible. So to get us started, I am safe and empty. So this gun has been dubbed the trailer Park Staccato. It is a Remington R1 Recon Commander. It is chambered in 9mm and it is a double stack. It is 4.25 overall length. This gun, so I kind of forgot that I purchased this gun several years ago, and we were kind of digging through the armory and decided to just absolutely go all out on this gun and see what kind of performance we could get out of it. So also, reason for the build, I wanted to build something dedicated for no light, but I also needed it to do low light, and I needed it to shoot in the day because I was going to duty carry this gun, but I wanted something that would be able to be used with nods and used well. So getting into it, I did do a single port comp on the front. It is a barrel bushing comp. Reason being is the barrel from the factory actually came match grade, and I didn't want to get into any kind of tolerance stacking issues and stuff like that. It was a really nice barrel and I didn't want to have to source one. So moving back, this gun did come black PVD coated from the factory, but we had to get it Optic cut. It did not come MRDS cut from the factory, so I went ahead and Cerakoted it OD green. Now, this Optic plate did come from Trijicon. It is designed for 1911 platforms, and it does accept the RMR footprint. Really nice plate. It also comes with the integrated rear suppressor height sight. It is a night sight. They're Trijicons. They're really clear. And it came in a set. It also came with the front sight. Now, you do have to get it directly milled for this plate, but it is designed for 1911, so we didn't have any fitment issues with it at all. As far as the optic, I went with a Trijicon SRO. It is 2.5 MOA, has a really big objective lens. It has a lock-in feature, so you can actually set it to the brightness that you want that will work for day and work for night, and you can lock that in, meaning if these buttons get pressed in your holster, bouncing back and forth, it will not mess with your adjustment at all. Now, the reason I went with the SRO versus an RMR, I just wanted a little bit bigger objective lens because I did want to run this with nods, and I just wanted the bigger objective lens. With the RMR, even though I have really good recoil management, it is really hard as you're looking through that nod to keep that dot in line constantly. I haven't had any issues with the SRO. I can absolutely keep that dot within that objective lens, and it's much easier, quicker to find when you're looking through that nod. So moving on, so from the factory, it did come with a skeletonized hammer. It's much like a Wilson Combat. I did not have to change that. There was no reason to. They also came with these ambidextrous cock and lock safeties, much like a Wilson Combat. There was no reason to change that out. As far as the internals of this firearm, we basically left pretty much stock. The only thing I did, we did do a light kind of buffing just to kind of mirror finish some stuff, but it was not very heavy. It was very, very light, and it was just to kind of glass everything up. I also did change the beaver tail safety. This one actually is from Wilson Combat. The one from the factory came very GI. I like that index in my palm. There wasn't really a need to switch it out. It was more of a preference deal for me. This one has a little checkering on it, kind of matches the checkering that follows with the gun. I went ahead and swapped it out. As far as the main spring housing, kind of one thing getting into the build, I found out it was plasticky polymer, which I thought was kind of odd coming from Remington for a mainspring housing. But as soon as we kind of broke the gun down to start the build, that thing went into the trash, and I went ahead and picked up one of these Wilson Combats. It's metal, it's got some checkering on it. It is really nice. This gun from the factory did come with the black G2 grips, or G10 grips, I'm sorry. They're very grippy, they're very slim. There was no real reason to change them out. Now, I did change the mag release in it. This one is from Slade Street Tactical. It is a company out of Texas. It was kind of the one that came from the factory was really hard to reach. It was kind of hard to index. I would have to almost change my grip to kind of get to that mag release. This one is just long enough. I can already start my mag change as I'm all the way out. That was the way I went. It's more or less a preference thing, but it's not so long that I'm having index issues going in and out of my holster, so it's really nice. It is 2-piece, but it's got a really big head on it. It is really simple to use. I would suggest it. Now, other than that, nothing else we really did to this gun. I did do a Surefire X300v-b light. It does IR and white light. The knurling on the bezel, you can just kind of twist it. That is off mode. There is your IR mode. And then you go all the way back for white light. Very good light from the factory. The IR is 120 and the white light, I believe, is 350, which you guys know I am full-time Leo. So the 350 kind of worried me at first because you guys know I like 1,000 lumens on my pistols. I usually get the X300B series. I was really worried about it first, but after getting this light, the bloom is so tight and clear and crisp that I'm not saying it is more than 350 lumens, but it almost acts as if it is. Now, one issue I have had out of this light is I do check my light every time I go on duty, so I have had to swap those batteries out a little bit on a faster rate. I had to swap them out a little bit more. Not really a huge issue to me because, like I said, I always check when I go on duty. So that is pretty much the build. This gun is very, very, very flat shooter. It has absolutely blown me away. As far as the mags, let's go ahead and get into the mags. So I did pick up some of these Taylor Freelance 140 millimeter mag extensions. I do generally put mag extensions on my mags, but I don't do it for the reason of actually gaining capacity. I do it because I have rather big hands, so I just do it as more of an index feature. It kind of helps me get them out of mag pouches. If you guys run Glock 19s and you run plate carriers, those mags are almost ate up by the pouch themselves. So having a little bit longer of a mag, it's just a little bit easier for me to do my manipulations. Now, from the factory, don't quote me on this, but some of the research that I have done, MechGar actually makes the magazines for these guns. They're very hard to source. They are hard to find. I actually contacted MechGar and was like, hey, what's going on? I'm looking for some of these mags. I'm doing a build. And they told me they're still making them, but I haven't seen them available in a long, long time now. I had some that I'd purchased a while ago, and I actually sourced some out of my area. But these double stack 9mm mags are very hard to find. But Mech Gear makes really good stuff. So if you guys can get a hold of the MechGar ones, that's the route I would go. There are some other companies that do make some mags you guys can get your hands on, but you actually have to cut the lock-in holes on the side for the mag catch yourself. I didn't really have to go that route because I ended up sourcing some of my own. But guys, that is basically the gun in a nutshell. We have done nothing else to this gun, and it shoots absolutely great. Now, another issue that you guys are going to get into, holster options. You guys know I'm full-time law enforcement. As I've stated, I'm also a law enforcement instructor, so I'm not saying that Safariland is the best, but that is my home base when it comes to duty holsters. So I had to have a Safariland level 3. Now this gun is close to a Staccato 4.4P, but it's not exactly the same. So I knew I was going to have some fitment issues in my holster, but I'm pretty confident because I've done some holster modifications in the past. I didn't think I was going to have a problem, and with the comp, I knew I was going to be close to that 4.4 since I was starting out at 4.25, and it is a 1911 upper. So we got a holster here. It is a Safariland level 3. So this holster actually is a 6360 RDS because we went MRDS, of course. And it is a 1582. So I knew I could get it to work, but I knew I was going to run into some issues. The overall was what I was mainly worried about. So as you guys see, I did have to relieve some material up front. So I got the upper, put it together, put the comp on, put the barrel in, everything like that. Got my stuff all lined out for the Optic. I went ahead and slid the upper in. Had fitment issues. It was too long, which I knew I was going to have overall length issues. So I went ahead and relieved that area here. Didn't have any issue. Slid that upper right back in, got a click. I'm like, yes, we've got it. I slid the upper on the lower, slid the gun back in. No. So kind of the way they're designed, I'll show you real quick, but if you guys have Safarilands at home, you can kind of see that locking mechanism inside. Long story short, when we actually cut this 1911, because the RMR is so much different, or the SRO is so much different from the RMR, you can actually see the extra material up front here. What happened is when we put that gun back together and actually slid it in that holster, the locking mechanism was interfacing with the Optic. So I had to actually shave material off the top or the front of that locking mechanism, the side that touches or is on the same side as the Optic face. Now I know what you're thinking, oh my God, reliability issues, like how badly did we take up on the structure of that? Well, guys, that's why we train and try everything before we deploy it. So I will give you a little bit of a demonstration. I shaved it, gun does go in. Of course, you have to have your hammer back for your bail to lock. Bail releases, gun comes out. I gave this thing everything I had and it is not coming out. So it does lock up good and it does fit. So all I really had to do besides that locking mechanism, shaving it down a little bit, was relieve a little bit here. Good to go. Now these Remington R1s are kind of hard to find, but you guys can still get double stack 1911 builder kits. So that is an option for you. As far as the holster, I just have the Safariland QLS on the back, or CLS, whatever it is. I have an RDR mount for a tourniquet. I've got my tourniquet pouch, and then I've got my tourniquet up front, but that is my holster. But other than that, guys, if you have any questions or you guys are going to do a build like this and want to know more stuff, let me know. That's kind of my build overview. It's been a really, really good shooter. I have not even half in this gun what a Staccato would cost, and I don't think I'm going anywhere. It is an absolute flat shooter. It works great with nods. It works good during the day. Now, the only thing I will say as far as a disclaimer on the Optic, because I have seen some videos out there on durability issues and stuff like that, I'm not going to say that it is as durable as an RMR. It's absolutely been proven that it's not. RMR kind of hit that structure with the way they're shaped. But this is built by Trijicon, guys. I mean, it's premier stuff. I'm going to deploy it, but what I will tell you is after watching some videos, I have not dropped this gun on duty or anything like that. I do have backup sights on it, but I probably will do. I think JagerWorks makes a Optic shroud for it. That probably is the route I'm going to go. And if you guys do some Googling, you're going to see a plate, a couple pictures of plates that have snapped for these 1911 platforms. I can't really talk much to that because I don't know who they went to actually mill that gun. I can tell you right now, I haven't had any issues. I've racked this off tables, I've racked it off barrels, stuff like that. I haven't had any issues. Not to say I won't in the future, but as far as right now, I mean, we've got several hundred rounds on this gun and I haven't had none. But we're going to continue, and if we do come up on a problem, you guys will see a video come out. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. You guys can put them down at the comments. As far as if we don't get a reply back to you, understand that between the academy, training, getting content out, I'm full-time law enforcement, and Nate also has a full-time job. Just kind of hang tight. Our op tempo is really, really, really extreme, but we will eventually get back to you guys. So if you guys have questions, just leave them down there. Other than that, guys, train hard, and I'll see you next time.